What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the other side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon
What's up? What's up?
and LeVon Maynard.
Welcome to the show.
What is going on? So, welcome to Monday's show. Man, I always lose count. I think this is 225. Thanks where we're at with this episode. So, thank you for tuning in. Obviously, we want you to continue to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. So please go ahead and do that. And stay tuned for the rest of the week's show. I think it's a really good one, as they always are. But you just gotta listen every day. You might miss one of those bangers. So definitely continue to tune in. Hit up all of our social medias and all that good stuff. But without further ado, I give it to LeVon.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So today we have an article. This one's from Tony Laro. This is from Threat Post, and he titled it, "You Can't Eliminate Cyberattacks, so focus on reducing the blast radius." And as the title hints, it's basically, he wrote an article here that's pretty interesting. It's got some good information in it. Basically, we know, cybersecurity is a big topic as of late, and that's what the show is all about. But ransomware has been pretty hot and prevalent. But it seems like a lot of companies, a lot of organizations have a hard time preventing cyber attacks. It's nearly impossible nowadays. I mean, you're going to have some sort of leak somewhere, or like even your workforce may not be trained or educated enough to avoid some of these attacks. But what you can do is try to mitigate these attacks, reduce the blast radius, as the title describes. And there's some different techniques that the author described in the article here. One, for example, is kind of like the zero trust remote access, which is, essentially, some companies tend to rely on the VPN connection to kind of validate that, hey, you're supposed to be in the network, and as long as your device can VPN into our network, you should be allowed to access anything that you need to from there without any kind of additional authentication. But that's what the zero trust remote access he describes here is basically, not only you rely on the VPN connection, but you also should rely on some verification within your network as well. So you should have some sort of additional verification process, maybe a multi-factor authentication, maybe a smart card, or some sort of like YubiKey, where you kind of validate that your device is actually checks all the boxes, as well as like has a proper software installed. You may have to have some requirements where you need a particular type of virus scan software, or some sort of additional protection that's available on the software. And there's obviously a lot of tools out there that can check devices and make sure they're compliant before they allow them access to the network. So he goes on to describe some other options too. He talks about inspecting traffic. So he describes that data breaches are often discovered when third-party companies examine corporate network activity and find large amounts of data being transferred from compromised devices to foreign servers. So that's a big tell. I mean, if you have a good system set up in place where you're actually validating the traffic, monitoring the traffic, make sure that things aren't leaving your location that shouldn't be leaving, whether it's just you see the flux of the amount of traffic that's going through, as well as you may be doing some sort of inspection, maybe doing some break and inspect of certain traffic, depending on where it's going. You should be, typically you should have something in place where you can monitor that traffic leaving your premise. And then it goes on to describe network segmentation, which is another big one. Obviously, you don't need to have everything connected, full access from every system. There's things called like privileged access workstations, where you're going to have like maybe a certain workstation is allowed to connect to a specific device within your network. You don't have every single laptop, every single desktop able to connect to every machine in your network. So you have some segmentation between it. So if, for example, somebody was able to get into your environment, they would only be able to access maybe this particular part of the environment without touching maybe some of the more sensitive data that's housed elsewhere in your facility. So it's good to have that segmentation. Make sure that things aren't, everything doesn't have to be super connected. You may have like certain routes, certain tunnels that are open for specific devices, but not everything to everything. And then it goes on. He talks about software based micro segmentation, which is, I guess, a little bit more into the nuances, where you're talking about some of the software that's some of the options within software that you can define. You're able to see, where pieces of, maybe some applications can connect to certain applications, or if there's certain configurations where you're blocking certain types of users or certain types of information that can transfer back and forth between different applications, things like that. But throughout the article, I mean, he has some great information here. And this guy, I think I looked at the bottom, he's actually a director of security and technology and strategy at Akamai, if I say that right, which I believe is like a company that specializes in networking. So he knows what he's talking about, and he has some great information in here. But I guess with that, I'll turn it over to you, Shannon. You have some thoughts on this one?
So yeah, man, you covered this one pretty good, man. And I know you got MFA in there. Good on you, right? Like I heard,
Slide that in there real quick.
Always.
Yeah. But you want to know something crazy is that this article made me realize that the work that I've done in the military, like a lot of this stuff is stuff that we would do, right? Most of it, I'll say, right? For all the things that you hit on, right? So zero trust, inspecting traffic, software-based micro-segmentation, and maybe it's just the jobs that I've been in, right? Agility and consistency, reducing attack surface. Like as I was reading through, I was like, yeah, this is stuff that I've seen before, right? Like that I've had to do before, and it kind of surprises me that this is something that needs to be put out there to the masses, because I was of the assumption that this is what everybody did, right? Not just DoD. So it was a little. I don't want to say disheartening, right? But maybe a little disheartening that these are not normal things that people do, as I was reading through there on some of the stuff that they did, right? But yeah, I mean, it was some pretty good points in there, right? Like, especially the reducing your attack surface, right? Because with that one, especially with the work from home, and I know we're kind of coming out of, I'm not saying COVID is done, but we're coming out of, the initial parts of COVID where people were doing a lot more work from home and whatnot. And remember, we've talked about it before, where when people started having these work from home solutions, the fastest they could get people back into their networks to do whatever from home is what they were doing, right? No real security was thought about or anything like that. They were just like, hey, yeah, just go to this site and you can access whatever you need to do whatever.
Right.
Right? That's not the way you go about doing that, right? Now, I don't think that will probably be the way this has happened before, because in our lifetime, this is probably, I mean, I imagine for our listening audience, right, or watching audience, in our lifetime, this is the first time we've come across something like this that's lasted this long and been this devastating, right? So, yeah, I think the considerations will be made and the things will be put into place to make this to where it doesn't happen again. But you never know, right? It may be one of those things where, like, in 20 years' time, people may have forgotten all about it and just be like, whatever, right? It's not going to happen again. It's been 20 years or whatever it may be, right? So yeah, it was a good article. It was a good read. Like you hit it pretty good, and the stuff that was in there is stuff that was not unfamiliar to me, from things I've seen in my military career. But Ryan, what's your thoughts on this?
No, I agree with you. What's crazy though is, so I guess that means that the DoD gets it right way more often than they get it wrong. Because yeah, that's what we do. So like when I met you guys, right, directory services does their thing with the exchanges and all that good stuff. You have vulnerability assessment. They're scanning the systems and what have you. I'm trying to remember the floor plan. Like the people who sat in front of me were boundary protection. They took care of all the firewalls, inspecting traffic, and then I was a networking guy. So we did the VLAN, network segmentation, all that good stuff, like keeping all the systems segregated. So we do it well. So I think that's again, when it comes to the private sector, I think that's why we're such high demand, because of the things that are rudimentary to DoD employees who worked on networks versus on the outside. So it's not that hard to get you up to speed, because we've been doing it for so long. So I think that's awesome. But yeah, so I've been in for what, 2 decades, and we've been doing it the entire time. So what are y'all doing out there? Like, step it up. But yeah, I think the article is absolutely correct though. Like, you cannot stop them. Ransomware attack or cyber attack happens every 11 seconds. But you can mitigate damage. So it's like video games, it's splash damage. It's you don't want the surface to be too big, right? You want to mitigate the best as you can, and by following these steps, you can reduce the damage. That's the goal here, is just to reduce it, not to stop. Like one day maybe we can we can bring ransomware and cybersecurity attacks to a halt, but there ain't gonna be no time soon. Not there's lots of 11 seconds in a day, so they're definitely doing some big damage. But no, I thought it was a good article, and I think it's pretty in depth. There's even more that can be done, like with zero trust and what have you. Again, which is seemed like a buzzword when I first started hearing it. I was like, we do that, we already do that, but that's not everyone's not doing that, right? So again, it's bringing it to the masses to build that security and protect your customers. So, all in all, I thought it was a good article. So definitely a good read for those out there who pick it up. I'll definitely put it in the description. But great conversation. Please continue to listen throughout the week. We have some more of this. Like tomorrow's topic is also very interesting. It has to deal with the aftermath of a cyber attack. So definitely tune in for that one. And then Wednesday, we're going to talk about mental health for those who are in the profession, because it doesn't seem to be getting better. There's lots of 11 seconds in a day, right? So you have people who are working crazy hours to try to keep your data safe. So definitely tune in for that discussion. And then Friday, everything else. So it was also a really good week for that. So tune in for that. Hit up all of our social media. I now post on TikTok because they do 10-minute videos. So I'm able to squeeze those in. Hit us up at our personal accounts. So I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. I'm on TikTok, LinkedIn, Clubhouse, and Twitter. And you, LeVon?
Yes, sir. You can hit me up on the Twitter at LeVon Maynard.
There it is. Stay safe, stay secure.
Take care.